It started
Thank
as a
you for your
simple
work on this
business
trip.
trip.
It was a pleasure. You were
Nothing
inspiring.
unusual.
I'm glad.
My
The
boss and
clients
I
were
were
impressed. You
flying to
handled it
another
perfectly.
city for an
Thank you.
important
It was
meeting
a
with a
team effort.
client.
Let's celebrate. Drinks
2
on me.
days.
We made it.
You
One
were outstanding.
presentation.
Thank you. It's a relief.
Then
Enjoy the
back
city.
Look at
home.
those lights, a perfect end.
At
Incredible.
least,
Did it.
that's
Deal
what
is
I thought.
closed.
It was a team effort.
But when
You were
we
incredible.
reached the hotel
Thank you. That
reception,
means a lot.
the
Anytime.
receptionist said something
Why waste
strange.
money on 2 rooms?
There's only one room reserved. I frowned.
Why waste money
That
on 2
must be a
rooms?
mistake. But before I could say anything, my boss smiled and said calmly, "Why waste money on 2 rooms?" Then she looked at me and added, "You're right." And somehow, that one decision changed everything. That my name is Daniel. I had been working at a consulting firm for almost 3 years. The job was demanding but exciting. And my boss was one of the most respected people in the company. Sophia Carter. Smart, confident, and incredibly successful. She was also someone everyone in the office admired, and feared a little. Sophia expected perfection. Late reports. Unacceptable. Weak presentations. Unacceptable. But if you worked hard, she noticed. That's probably why she chose me for this important business trip. After a long flight, we finally arrived at the hotel. I was tired and ready to rest before tomorrow's meeting. The receptionist checked the reservation. Then looked confused. "Mr. Daniel. Ms. Carter, there seems to be only one room booked." I immediately shook my head. "That's impossible." But Sophia didn't seem surprised. She leaned casually against the counter. "Is the room large?" The receptionist nodded. "Yes, it's a suite." Sophia smiled. "Perfect." Then she turned to me. "Why waste money on 2 rooms?" I hesitated. Technically, she was right. It was a large suite with 2 separate beds. Still, sharing a hotel room with my boss felt strange. But she waited for my answer. Finally I said quietly, "You're right." Sophia smirked slightly. "Good." The suite was bigger than my entire apartment. Large windows. A comfortable living room. And 2 beds on opposite sides of the bedroom. For a while we worked on the presentation for the next day. But after finishing, Sophia closed her laptop. "You work too much," she said. "That's coming from you?" I replied. She laughed softly. "Fair point." Then she suggested something unexpected. "Let's order dinner." A few minutes later we were sitting in the living room eating takeout and talking. Not about work, but about life. She told me how she started her career. How she worked 3 jobs in her 20s. How she built her reputation from nothing. For the first time, Sophia didn't feel like my intimidating boss. She felt like a normal person. Later that night I asked something that had been on my mind. "Did you really book only 1 room to save money?" Sophia looked at me for a moment. Then she smiled. "Not exactly." I raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" She leaned back on the couch. "Daniel, do you know why I picked you for this trip?" I assumed because of the project. She shook her head. "I could have taken anyone." Then she said, quietly, "I wanted to spend more time with you." My heart skipped. "What?" Sophia laughed at my expression. "You look shocked." "Well, yeah." She shrugged. "You're smart. You're honest. And you're the only person in the office who doesn't treat me like I'm terrifying. I smiled nervously. Maybe I'm just good at hiding it. She laughed again. Then the room grew quiet. Finally she asked softly. Was sharing this room really such a bad idea? I looked at her. The confident boss everyone admired. And suddenly I realized something. Maybe this trip wasn't just about work. The next day our presentation was a huge success. The client signed the deal. It was the biggest contract our company had won that year. After the meeting, Sophia and I celebrated with dinner. As we walked back to the hotel, she looked at me and smiled. You did great today. Team effort, I said. She stopped walking. No. You did great. Then she added quietly. And I'm glad we shared that room. The next evening, I met Sophia at a quiet restaurant a few blocks away from the office. It felt strange. For 3 years, she had only been my boss. Now, we were sitting across from each other like two normal people on a date. No laptops. No meetings. No deadlines. Just dinner. Sophia looked different outside the office. Her hair was down, and she wasn't wearing her usual serious expression. For the first time, she looked relaxed. So, she said while looking at the menu, "Are you nervous?" "A little," I admitted. She smiled. "Why?" "Because tomorrow you're still my boss." She laughed softly. "That's true. But tonight, I'm just Sophia." Dinner was surprisingly comfortable. We talked about things we had never discussed at work. Her childhood. My family. Our embarrassing school stories. At one point she laughed so hard she nearly spilled her drink. "I can't believe you told your teacher the dog ate your homework." "It actually did," I defended. "Sure it did," she teased. For a moment, everything felt easy. Natural. But as the evening went on, something serious slowly returned to her expression. Finally she said quietly, "Daniel, there's something we need to talk about." My stomach tightened. That doesn't sound good. She shook her head. "It's not bad, just complicated." I waited. Sophia took a slow breath. "If people at the office find out we're spending time together, they'll talk." I nodded. "That's true. And it might create problems." I understood what she meant. Office rumors. Jealous coworkers. Questions about favoritism. Everything could get messy. "So what are you saying?" I asked. She looked at me carefully. "I'm saying we have two choices. Okay. We stop this now. Or we figure out a way to make it work." Her eyes stayed locked on mine. And suddenly I realized something important. Sophia Carter, the confident boss who controlled every situation, looked nervous. She was waiting for my answer. I thought about the past few days. The hotel room. The late-night conversations. The way she laughed at my stupid jokes. And how different she felt outside the office. Finally I smiled. "I think we should make it work." Sophia's shoulders relaxed slightly. "Really? Really?" She leaned back in her chair and smiled. "Well, that's good. Because I already ordered dessert." I laughed. Confident as always. She winked. "Only when I know I'm right." And at that moment, I realized something else. Sharing that hotel room on the trip might have started everything. But this was the real beginning. For the next few weeks, Sophia and I kept things simple. At the office, we acted exactly the same. She was still my boss. Strict in meetings. Professional with everyone. And just as demanding as always. No one could tell anything had changed. But after work, things were different. Sometimes we grabbed dinner. Sometimes we walked through the city talking about random things. And sometimes we just sat in a quiet cafe, laughing about office drama. For the first time in years, work didn't feel like just work anymore. But secrets rarely stay hidden forever. One afternoon, I walked into the break room to get coffee. Two coworkers were whispering near the window. The moment they saw me, they suddenly stopped talking. That was never a good sign. Later that day, my friend Mark pulled me aside. "Hey," he said quietly. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." He lowered his voice. "Are you dating Sophia?" I almost choked on my coffee. "What?" He raised his hands. "Relax. I'm just asking. Why would you think that?" Mark leaned closer. "Because people are starting to notice." My stomach tightened. "Notice what?" "You two leaving the office around the same time. Lunch meetings that last a little longer than usual. And the fact that she suddenly smiles when you walk into a room." I sighed. "So people are talking?" Mark nodded. "Yeah." He paused. "Is it true?" For a moment I didn't answer. Then I said quietly, "Yes." Mark stared at me. "Wow. That's bold." "Or stupid," I muttered. He laughed. "Maybe both." That evening Sophia called me into her office. The moment I stepped inside, I could tell something was wrong. She closed the door. "We have a problem," she said calmly. My stomach dropped. "The rumors?" She nodded. "They've started." I sat down in the chair across from her desk. "Are you worried?" Sophia crossed her arms. "I expected it eventually. But it might create complications." "Like what?" I asked. "HR questions. Office gossip. People thinking you're getting special treatment." I sighed. "I never wanted that." "I know," she said softly. For a moment the room was quiet. Then Sophia stood up and walked around the desk. She stopped in front of me. "But I'm not ending this because of gossip." I looked up at her. "You're not?" She shook her head. "I've spent my whole career letting work control my life." Her voice softened. "And I'm tired of that." Then she smiled slightly. "So if people are going to talk, let them talk." I laughed. "You really don't care what they think, do you?" Sophia shrugged confidently. "Not when I know I made the right decision." Then she leaned against the desk and looked at me. "There is just one question left." "What's that?" I asked. She raised an eyebrow. "Are you brave enough to keep dating your boss?" I smiled. "I shared a hotel room with you, remember? That already required courage." Sophia laughed. And for the first time since the rumors started, the situation didn't feel scary anymore. Because sometimes The risk is worth it. When we returned to the office 2 days later, everything looked the same. Same desks. Same coworkers. Same routine. But something had changed between us. Later that afternoon, Sophia called me into her office. "Close the door," she said. I did. She looked at me seriously. "At work, we keep things professional." I nodded. "Of course." Then she smiled slightly. "But after work?" She paused. "Dinner tonight?" I laughed. "So the trip wasn't enough?" Sophia crossed her arms confidently. "Not even close." And that was the moment I realized something. Sometimes the smallest decisions, like agreeing to share a hotel room, can quietly change your life forever.